When it comes right down to it, it's all about getting closer to one another, even closer than Miguelito is to his mom, if that's possible. Chuck Worstel thinks it is. That's why he and his friend Bill Pinkerton brought the discipleship program to the people of Guatemala.
I want them to, first of all, meet with God, and secondly, take away some kind of truth out of the Word of God back to their churches so that they can have better churches through discipleship.
According to Webster, a disciple is one who embraces and assists in spreading the teachings of another. Miguelito certainly knows all about embracing, but as far as assisting in spreading the teachings of Jesus, for now he'll leave that up to his parents and the rest of the 60 or so men and women taking part in this year's discipleship conference. Pedro Ajanel recognizes the importance of this day-and-a-half get-together.
It's important because we are not used to discipling. We're not familiar with how to make disciples, and we need some extra help and somebody to push us to work on disciple.
That was a plan several years ago when Chuck and Bill teamed up with the ASELSI Ministries to start this project. To help people who quite frankly are used to sitting in church and listening to their pastors instruct them on how to live out their Christian lives. Miguel Angel Morales was one of those pastors. He's learned raising up disciples is less about standing behind a pulpit and preaching. It's more about sitting next to fellow believers and sharing. Forming small groups is a big part of the discipleship program.
I love this conference because it teaches them how to communicate person to person. This way they can help their brothers.
I have a brother who he's been in my church, but I never knew about him, and through this program I knew more about him, and we got more closer to each other and walk more closer to Jesus.
When it comes right down to it, it's all about getting closer to one another and, more importantly, to the Lord. That's what this is all about, and as long as the financial support holds up, that's what the discipleship program will always be about.
Yeah, I mean, it'll change a little bit like everything.
It already has. Chuck and Bill have pretty much given over the reins of this conference to Pedro and Miguel Angel. Men who speak the language, men who know how lonely life can be in the mountains of Guatemala, men who know how important it is to meet together, to encourage one another, and in some cases, to carry one another, to become better disciples of Jesus Christ. Haciendo discípulos, making disciples. Disciples who are willing to give up everything to follow their Lord. Not that these men and women from some of the poorest areas of Guatemala have a whole lot to give up.
You know, you can't help from wanting to help them.
Yeah.
I mean, they bring tears to your eyes because it's so cool to see them, you know, just loving God.
It's an emotional time, a time that can wear you down. It's a time that's all about getting closer to one another. As a theologian once said, one of the indispensable requirements for producing godly, mature Christians is godly, mature Christians.